Hi, I'm Mundo Maldini. Juan and I compare topics. Share your thoughts respectfully. These comparisons we do with Juan Rebeles. How's it going, Juan? Great to see you. You all like these videos because they also give you a chance to vent in the comments a lot of the time. I have to take a stand and choose one or the other from what Juan presents. And since many of you might not agree, you can let it all out. But remember, while it's nice to express your opinions, if insults come up, we'll hide them. To the nice insult. No? If the insult arrives, we hide it. You know that YouTube has the option to hide the user, and no matter how many times they publish, it never comes out. I've hidden some users. I hide users who insult. Their comments stay on their computer. So, people who insult, just hide the user, and they can write whatever they want, but it stays on their computer. That's good, right?
Maybe don't waste your time.
Of course, it works for him because he knows it gets posted, but then it doesn't actually show up. Anyway, I trust that it's not like that here in our community. Well, nothing.
All right, let's get started. Here we go. Let's start with a very nostalgic pair from the league, one that we all love. But Julio, we have to choose between Luis Fabiano or Canute, who brought so much joy to Sevilla and the league during their time. Who was better for you?
I go with Canute. I think Luis Fabiano was really good, but I prefer Canute. I believe he was superior to Luis Fabiano. In terms of power, he had more. I remember when Canute arrived, I think he came from West Ham to Sevilla. I remember I spoke wonders about Canute, and well, he really delivered. You see, Canute became a legend among Sevilla fans. So I go with Canute. I loved Canute. I also liked Luis Fabiano, but I loved Canute. I think Canute was superior for me. The class, he had to be that tall. Yeah, he was one of those players that you don't see often. The other day, I was reading an interview or watching an interview with Adebayor, I don't know where, on an English channel, and he was saying some very interesting things. He had a certain resemblance to Adebayor, was
Unrefined.
it was less refined, yes, but he knew how to play the Bayern way, you know? He knew how to play, you know?
Let's move on to the next one. This is about the future. When we talk about those two, in 10 years in the world, will Maldini be at a higher level than Echeverry or Estevao?
Let's see, now that the U20 is happening, Estevao isn't there. Well, his team has let him go. Echeverry is indeed playing. Yesterday, the other day, they drew 1-1 against Colombia. Here you see the images from the U20 South American Championship, right? I think Echeverry. It's just that what I've seen a bit less of Estevao. I've seen some matches. I've seen a bit less. You saw him live at a U17 World Cup, right? In Indonesia.
Both of them, yes.
Both of them, and Echeverry too. I just love this concept of the number 10 in Argentina playing in that playmaker position. And Estevao has a lot of talent. He has a good left foot. He has speed. Estevao might catch the eye more, but I would bet a little more on Echeverry.
It's already owned by City.
It's owned by City, yes. Yeah. I would bet a little more on Echeverry, and I take this opportunity to tell you to watch the U20 South American Championship on Mundo Maldini.
All right. If this were the stock market, you'd invest more in Echeverry, right? You would buy more shares of Echeverry?
Then there are teams that will sign him depending on the type of player they need.
Of course.
But of course, if you ask me, look, Leganes, my Lega, can we sign one of the two? Ask me about it. I tell the sporting director, dude, Echeverry.
Right. Yeah, he's more developed. Baena or Sanzet, do you like more?
Remember when Sanzet promised us his plan when he scored a goal? Do you remember Baena or Sanzet? Baena or Sanzet, man? Well, I think technically Baena is superior when it comes to assists. That's obvious. But Sanzet has a knack for making a difference near the box. He receives the ball with his back to the goal and turns. I have a lot of doubts, you know? But we have to take a stand. Since we have to take a stand,
more goals from Sanzet, more play. Right.
I would go with Baena slightly, but very slightly. It also depends on the type of player you want, but I would stick with Baena. I think he has what it takes for the rest of the season at Villarreal. Yes. By the way, I think in the end, look, these are the two teams that are going to fight for the fourth spot. I thought at the beginning of the season that it would be Athletic, and now, logically, the results are going well for Athletic Club so far. But Villarreal can react. Yeah, it's going to be tight. So who do you like more as a coach?
Michael Arsenal, or perhaps Xabi Alonso.
I really like Arsenal, and I recognize what he's doing at Arsenal, but I would go with Xabi Alonso. It's just that Xabi Alonso, what I've seen from him at Leverkusen, starting with the other day when they ended up losing the match at the Metropolitano, but the first half that Leverkusen played with such personality. Tactically, he constantly changes the players, switches formations, and changes their positions. Remember the day we talked to Grimaldo? What he told us? I mean, I stick with I really think Xabi Alonso is going to be one of the great coaches of the next 10 years, no doubt about it. Arsenal is already doing it too, But if I have to choose, I have few doubts and I go with Xavi Alonso. And what Donostiar has achieved, well, both are from there. But what Xavi Alonso has accomplished is with a team that is theoretically a second or third tier European team, at least a second tier one, winning the Bundesliga without losing a single match, winning the cup, reaching the final of the Europa League. It's true that Arsenal, with more stars, has competed in the league against Manchester City for more than one season, which is quite an achievement because the Premier League is better than the Bundesliga. But still, I stick with Xavi Alonso. Look, I would love for Leverkusen to be in the Champions League. That would be cool. The reconstruction of Arsenal wasn't easy. Who has been the better left back, Marcelo or Jordi Alba? I have no doubts, Marcelo. For me, it's Marcelo. Yes, Marcelo. I mean, technically, there's no comparison. Technically, Marcelo is far superior to Jordi Alba. I mean, Marcelo was a fullback who? He was capable of playing almost like a playmaker at times. He did things in the attacking third that you wouldn't expect. He was a passer and was constantly getting forward. It's true that defensively he sometimes had his issues. It's also true that many times he was faced with 2 against 1, but he didn't have much help. Jordi Alba has been a very good left back. He has connected well with Mesut. He has come down the wing well, good crosses.
Defensively, he also had problems.
I think Marcelo has been superior here. The debate hasn't arrived. No, for me, there's no debate.
Let's move on. Next one. De Jong or Casado, who would be your guy for this last third of the upcoming season, if you were Hansi Flick?
Well, De Jong is improving, giving Flick a chance at Casado's spot. Casado is better. To really give Flick the chance to take Casado's spot. As a recovering player, Casado is much better. When it comes to playing, Frenkie de Jong is much better. With my concept, my of football, I still prefer Frenkie de Jong over Casado. But I understand that in matches really against opponents who are more or less at your level, which Barca will definitely have in the Champions League, a player like Casado is very important. In big matches like against Bayern Munich, Casado will be ahead if everyone is fit. To play against, I don't know, Brest, I would put Frenkie de Jong in. So I think that in the big matches, Casado will be ahead, I believe, if everyone is fit.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. In his prime, as I put here, no one clipped this. Who has been the better football player, Mesut Ozil or Angel Di Maria?
In their prime, Ozil or Di Maria? In their prime, damn, this is really difficult. Well, I think Ozil had more pure talent. Telling you, Ozil, maybe a lot of people don't remember the final stretch of his season at Madrid where he wasn't the same anymore. Then his level dropped a lot. He moved to Arsenal, and then his level kept declining. Di Maria has been able to, well, in fact, he's still playing, and he has maintained it with tremendous consistency. Di Maria is probably more of a complete midfielder as he can play in more positions. But for me, if I pay for a ticket to see a match, I prefer Ozil. Man, I like that they're both there. But if you make me choose, I prefer Ozil. I mean, Ozil is a footballer who gets you out of your seat with the skills he had. I've always really liked Ozil. I stick with Ozil, but it's true for consistency. Di Maria would be superior.
He had such an ease for setting up goals. Also, of course, if the partner was a Christian, of course.
When it happens, Cristiano, of course, has messed things up for us. But yes, I would definitely stick with Mesut Ozil in his prime. Mesut Ozil, clearly the complete career, maybe Di Maria.
Yeah, in terms of career, I don't think there's any doubt. Who was better? Samuel Eto'o or Didier Drogba?
For me, they are 2 of the 3 greatest African players in history. I also include Yaya Touré here. Look, both of them have reached the peak. I mean, Drogba, he won a Champions League by scoring in the final. Eto'o scored in 2 Champions League finals, if I'm not mistaken, in 2 of them. And he won, of course, both.
Because he also does a good job at Inter?
He does a good job at Inter, yes. Although he doesn't score in that final. Milito scores both goals against Bena, but is starting from the back. It was even more beastly. I remember goal with Marcelo versus Newcastle. Impressive. Tough one, huh? I'm going to go with Samuel Eto'o slightly. Years ago, I made a video about this, and I said they're all on the same level, but my gut says Samuel Eto'o. Max Gold had it all. But right now, my gut tells me to say Samuel Eto'o, but just slightly.
Max Gold had it all, didn't he?
Yeah, Max Gold really had it all. I'm going to go with Samuel Eto'o just slightly, yes.
Okay, let's go with the second to last.
Well, sorry. And also in that guy I mentioned, I would put a 4th, which is Josué. Okay. The four greats of African history, yes.
Let's go with this one. It's not about who you choose, because for now it's impossible to pick Pedri and Xavi over Xavi and Iniesta. But do you think there will be a debate when those two on the left are 32 or 33 years old?
No, there won't be. There won't be. And it won't be because of Gabi. May Gabi and Gabi's followers forgive me. I mean, Gabi is clearly a step below the other three. Clearly, I mean, I have no problem saying it. I mean, I think Iniesta and Xavi were the best of the best on a global level. Pedri is being spectacular. But he hasn't reached the level of Xavi or Iniesta yet, and Gabi is already a step below. For example, technically, I think Dani Olmo is better about Gabi. At Barca, I like him. He plays aggressively and is a good midfielder who can advance. He has character and technical skills, essential for Barca's midfield. However, while Pedri might reach Xavi and Iniesta's level, Gabi, in my view, won't. This is clear. He has a lot of character. Technically, he's good, of course. If you're not technically good, you don't play in the midfield at Barca. But I think we're already talking about whether Pedri could someday be close to the level of Xavi and Iniesta. Gabi, for me, has no chance at all. I mean, this is very suddenly, but I see it. It's very difficult.
And the pressure that Pedri and Gabi have to try to get there is what Xavi says in the photos, that they won 4 champions for Barca. Those two.
No. Just that, no. I don't think they're going to reach that level. It's practically impossible for them to reach it. I already said, especially because of Gabi, right? Yeah.
Okay. And let's move on to the last one. Our friends and neighbors. Which French club has been the greatest?
Marseille, Lyon, man. I think Marseille is, well, it's the only French team that has won the European Cup to begin with. That alone would close the debate. But I think Marseille has been more than Lyon at various stages. Lyon had a good moment, honestly. I can't tell you much about the French teams from the 40s and 50s, but I don't recall Lyon being that notable. I think Lyon had a really good team in the 2000s, right? More or less, in the Champions League, yeah, they managed to win 10 in a row. They reached the Champions semi-final that they lost to Bena, I remember. But come on, Marseille is more. Marseille is more because of its fan base, its club history, and its titles. Nothing. There's no comparison either. The last two were pretty simple.
Pretty easy, right? Well, that's all.
This is it.
10 comparisons for today.
This is it. We should call Andy on Rubia, who's a really good guy, by the way, and he knows everything about French football. Let's see what he thinks. Sure, he thinks the same. I'm sure he thinks the same as I do.
Let's go back to Twitter to see what people think.
But come on, I don't think there's much of a debate. The thing is, he's very young, and maybe he hasn't seen much of Marcelo from back in the day, even though he might have read a lot about him. But color. But I really like these videos. They are beautiful. They are beautiful. See you next time. A hug, champ.
Goodbye.
Well, guys, a hug, champions.